Hello, this is Brett from the forums. For some of you that are checking out this video on Facebook, and for others, I run Software Media. And I'd like to talk about CoSchedule, and in particular, I want to talk about the workflow in managing social message sharing through CoSchedule, which works as a calendar that's kind of added onto WordPress. It's kind of a service that gets added into WordPress. It looks like a plugin, but really this is a system running on CoSchedule's own servers that shows up in WordPress, and it allows us to create a blog article in WordPress and then share it to multiple locations, and eventually we can see CoSchedule in a calendar. Now I'm making this because CoSchedule enables us to create templates of what a social media campaign might look like once it's done, and we have to create those templates. There aren't any standard template packs or anything like that CoSchedule creates and offers to the community, or that the community can create and offer to each other. We have to go in there and create these social campaigns. So I've come down here and I've created a blog article. I've done the write-up, I've added titles, I've done some SEO stuff, I've got a featured image loaded in. This is saved as a draft. It is not published yet. And at this point, I can scroll down to CoSchedule. It does a few things right off the bat after you hit the save button, after you save the draft. It will give you a little headline analyzer score and talks a little bit about the words used in your title. And I'm going to focus on that just for a second. In this particular title, I have a quick article that says, quickly create color palettes from images or logos. I'm talking about a free service called Canva. They actually sell print items and other things. That's their main thing, but they have a color palette tool that's free to use. And so this is a simple little blog article, nothing too major. And for my headline score, I've got 58, and it talks about the character count and more. That's not important for this video. It's more to get oriented. What we want to focus on is the social campaign. So I'm going to expand this, and as I do, you will see that it initially pulls in the title, or the blurb and the title that I currently have set up for this article. And actually, when I say blurb, I'm referring to the excerpt that I've written up or custom created in here. And it shows what that could look like. And then we can come into each one of these plus buttons at some generic recommended times and add a number of social media sharing options. And we can also, if we've done this in the past, we can come in and we can grab a template of our choice, something that we have created, and we can apply that to our post. Now, I have created some in the past. I'm not going to use this particular template, but just to kind of give you an example, once you've created a template, I have something that then comes in, shares a post out on the same day it's published to a number of locations, Twitter to Google+, Facebook page, and my personal Facebook account. I don't always use both of those, but sometimes I do. It goes to Pinterest, LinkedIn, and more. And then after that, a day after publish, it shares it again on Twitter. And a week after, it shares it one more time on Twitter. And then a month, Twitter and Google+. And then I kind of rotate through those. I view Twitter and Google+ as something that is a bit of a stream, and I find this as a useful way to refresh it. Occasionally with Facebook, I'll blast things out a second time a year later on an anniversary or something like that as well. It kind of depends. But this is kind of my generic template. Now, I'm not going to use that here, and while I'm looking at it, I have the option to apply this template. I don't actually want to apply this particular template, so I want to get rid of it. I'm going to hit the cancel button to make this template go away, because I want something more unique for this. And in fact, not only do I want unique, I want to create a new template that I'll be able to use in the future. So I'm thinking along the lines of something that I could use for a one-year campaign, let's say a social campaign to share to multiple locations. And in Google Sheets, I have come over here. This is going to get a little bit more advanced. I have come up with a couple of different variations of how I want this particular campaign to run. I've The columns I'd like you to focus on are B, C, D, and E. So I would like to add a prefix right before the title. There's quick codes where if I type in the swirly brackets, curly brackets and then title, it will pull the title of my blog post. And then I want to end it with a suffix, something hoping to prompt some feedback, and then the permalink, the permanent hyperlink for the particular blog post at the end. And I want to do that. I've got several different variations on that where I'm trying to amp up the title just a bit. And then in a few cases, I want to do a full replace. I don't want to use any of the defaults that come in. I want to use a full title replace down there, and I will need the permalink as well. So I'm going to add a couple columns here, but I'm not going to use the title that comes with it. I'm simply going to use a full, slightly changed title. I want to see how that might impact the results, or if it might get across to people a little differently or a little better, because even though my title is scored to 58, it may or may not be a great title. I have no idea how it will resonate with people. So the thing is, there's no way for me to take all these variations in this spreadsheet and import them over into CoSchedule. I have to set all of this up. I can't import that in and run with it. And I can't, similarly, I couldn't take a few of these and say repeat this one every month or repeat it every week in CoSchedule with the template itself. Now there is a repeat function that you can pay extra for with CoSchedule. I've used it in the past. I'm going to leave that as a sidebar item, something I'm not going to get into here. I wasn't satisfied with it myself, mostly because I could not verify that I was getting results out of it. It seemed to be useful and interesting, but I couldn't always verify that it was doing what it was supposed to do. So I need to come in here and I need to create when every one of these things is supposed to happen. So I'm going to click once to expand my editor to create the first thing that's going to get shared somewhere on social. And then I need to come through and pick the social accounts that it will go to. And in this case, I'm going to send it to a couple different Facebook pages I manage, to my LinkedIn account, Google+. I'm going to expand an option for Pinterest, and I'm going to put this under cool tools and apps. And I'm going to go slide back in, and I'm going to send it to my personal Twitter account and a business Twitter account. So if you were counting, that was 1 click, 2 click, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 clicks, 6 clicks, 7 and 8 clicks for the Pinterest option, just to pick the different things. I've already clicked a couple times to create this option. Then I come in here and I have my default stuff. So I want to use some of my variations. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy this first line here. And I do want this to be an image item. I do want them to grab my featured image. And I was copying from cells, so the spacing on this gets a little wonky. And I want to fix that a little bit. It is pulling in tabs instead of spaces as I do this. And that looks pretty good. So there's my same day as published, and I'll allow it to pick the, I could allow it to pick a time as well. I could have same time as publish or best time. In this case, I'm going to go same time as publish on this first initial one. And I'm going to hit add messages. So now it's created multiple social posts for that one particular day. And that's great. I've got a number of different things here. Well, at this point, I can't duplicate any of these. And that's not exactly what I want. Some of these I kind of like, but there's no way to duplicate any of these. So for my next one, if I want to publish it more than once that first day, maybe I'll publish it manually through WordPress in the morning, and I want a second one to go out later that day. In this case, I have to come back through, and I have to click again. I don't want to necessarily share it to Facebook more than once. but I do want to send it back out to Twitter and maybe to LinkedIn as well. And again, I want an image post. So I've got 3, 4, 5 clicks into this so far. And maybe I want to use some slightly different verbiage. So I come through, copy paste that, select everything there, copy paste it in, remove the spaces, arrow across, remove the spaces again. This time, and same day as publish, and we'll go 3 hours after publish. So that's nice. I've been able to amp it up more, and it wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of copy paste work there too, and these are things that I've already written at this point. So that's just a start. My cat's making a little bit of racket for a second, so I'm going to pause. Okay, diving back into this part 2, that was actually my girlfriend's cat. Slight interruption. You'll notice I've got 2 things going here in the same day as publish. It's not visibly easy to see the items that are coming out 3 hours later. It does mention it right there, but these aren't, there's not a real definitive way to spot that quickly. Just wanted to point that out. So now I want to come in and I want to do something for the next day, because not everybody's on Twitter every single day. And so I want to send a couple more things out to both Twitter things again, and we're going to make an image link again. And this time I'm going to go with a slight variation because I don't want to use the same words on Twitter every single time either. So I'm changing things up. Trying to find the fastest way to copy paste this in. I could have created another column that concatenated all this together to remove the space, and I probably would have if I had more time, but it's still a copy paste here. And so I'm going to come in, create that. This is going the day after the publish, and in this case I'm going to set a morning one and add the message. And I want another one for day after publish for the afternoon. And we want an image item, and let's see, we'll copy that one, come through, paste it in. Okay, and this time I'm going to go for evening for that day after publish. Add the message. Okay, so there's day after publish, and I'd like one for maybe 3 days after publish. So for that I need to come down to custom date and custom date, maybe not, I can't actually do +3 there, so I'm going to cancel that one, and maybe I can do day after publish. There it is, 3 days after publish. So you'll notice that's a little counterintuitive. You have to go day after publish to then see the date option drop down menu there. And instead of going early morning this time, I'm going to go late morning. I haven't picked my social profiles yet. And again, these are going out to Twitter. And I'm going to hop over here. I've been copy and pasting, but I haven't been ticking off which ones I've copy pasted already. And within these first 6 or 7, I'm already a little confused as to which ones I've used. I'm hoping that I haven't used something that I've already used, as it might then get thrown out by Twitter, which would mean all of this is for no good reason. So I'm gonna add that. So that was 3 days after. Now 3 days after shows up as a thing, and I can come in and this time I'm gonna pick my items again. I'm trying to hover. Oops. Now at this point the mouse is or my trackpad's playing kind of games with me. And that's not the biggest file in the world, but it does point out some additional challenge that can creep into here. So I'm going to copy those cells. I've got an image item again. Okay, and this is initially designated for the 3 days after, but I could change that up to, I can put in a custom thing again if I pick the day after slot or one that already exists, and we'll go for early afternoon this time on this batch. So I'm kind of trying to fill up that week just to make sure that I've covered people for whenever it is they might show up on this particular template. I've got day of publish, day after publish. I've got 3 days after publish, 5 days after publish. Now I'll point out, I want to do this for a year, and I'm not tracking the running time here super closely, but I've only got like 4 or 5 days, and I'm basically using the same message with some slight variations just to make sure that I've got some coverage here. So now at this point, I'm going to come in here once again, and I'm going to add my profiles. I'm going to add Google Plus back into this mix this time because I'm going a little bit farther out. And I had picked 1 week after as the default, but I'd kind of like to go 2 weeks instead of 1. There is no 2-week option. There's no +2 things, and so I don't really have that option. Can't even do it. I can do a custom date and specifically pick and choose the date, or I can come in and I can count up 14 days, which is what I will do in this case. And I'm going to go with best time in this case. I'll let the system figure it out for me. I'm going to try and put the permalink that down, next line down or something like that, just to see if that'll space out differently. So I'll add that. And now we can see, there it is, 14 days after publish. And I want to do something similar for the month after publish. And come in here, I'm going to choose image. And I've only picked LinkedIn and Google Plus this time. And I've done that on purpose. I've suddenly realized I want to add some extra stuff. Found this cool little free app or teaser, Canva, and realized it could be helpful for quickly creating a palette. Just adding a little bit more context to try and pull people in, something a little bit more unique. That's going to month after publish, just to those 2 networks. I will add my message. And now I'd like to create my Twitter messages for later in the month. Go into image. Just going down the list. I still have my flaw for my spreadsheet popping up. In case you're curious about how to correct that flaw, I could come back in here, concatenate this real quick. So, I can make improvements as I go. So I've got that there, and I've got it for month after, but I don't want to go quite that way. I want to take it 35 days after, a little bit more beyond a month. Add the message. Now at this point, I'd like to fill up the year with this thing. And I don't want to hit every single network all year long, but I would like to duplicate these two as a group. I can't group these and duplicate, which means I have to recreate these every single time. Or I'd love to be able to duplicate this and slightly change the message, copying and pasting in one of my things there. Or even better yet, I'd love to be able to come through here, copy all of these, and paste them in somewhere useful over here into something that could then translate them into results. Just a few options that come to mind, but I don't have that option. So I'm going to keep going through and make sure working through my list. And we'll go 65 days out this time. Best time. Waiting for that to show up. You notice this lag as it goes through. So I've got to wait for each one of those. I'd like to just hop back and forth a little faster, but there's some kind of lag taking place there as it goes through. That's all time and money for me. I don't need that lag. I don't want that lag. I do love, the little flair that comes with it from the perspective of whoever it is that designed this. It's nice to see that things are happening and so on. But frankly, I've been using this for a year. I don't need to see that things are happening any longer. And I'd love to be able to just turn off that animation. And as I do this last one, I just realized that I must have hit custom date instead of the other one. So I need to cancel out of that one. Oops. Now, check this out. So I hit cancel, and then I get these, are you sure, thing. So extra clicks all the way around there. I don't want that. I'd love to be able to turn that off. Yes, I might be accident prone. I might hit cancel and delete something that I don't want, but I might not be. And with a lot of experience, I might not have that challenge or problem anymore, and I may just want to be able to blast through these as quickly as possible, and I don't have that option. So come in here, add message, the animation flare is doing its thing, boom, there it is. Come back through. Duplicate would save me so much time here, but I don't have. I'm going to skip around just a little bit. I'd love to have some alternative image options here. I'd love to be able to load up like 10 images and have it rotate through the images that get placed in here too. There's so many potential ways that this could become more interesting. Now at this point, I gotta start doing some math with 3 digits, not just 2. I'm good at math, but it's still, now I'm not just typing and clicking extra stuff, but I'm doing mental stuff as well. And maybe I'll get it wrong, maybe I won't. One of the great things about CoSchedule is that it allows you to visually see things on the calendar once you get them in the calendar. At this point though, I'm not doing anything visual with a calendar. I have no idea really how or where this is fitting into my calendar, and it's because I have to do all this manual stuff on the setup. I don't know if these are going on a Tuesday. I don't know if they're going on a Wednesday. They're just 125 days out, and whenever or however that is. Again, a little bit more mental math. Not a huge big deal, but I could add a plus 30 here in a spreadsheet and copy that down a column and not have to do any mental work there and focus on something else. I could have been done with this by 10 minutes ago if I could have had a better spreadsheet option to zap some of this stuff in. And it is 2017. I've only been working with spreadsheets since 1993. It's I feel like we should be past this stage with tools like this. So 185 days, and in my head I'm thinking I'm halfway there. I'm halfway through my year of stuff. Got some more to go. Copying the next one down. If you're feeling this video is a little tedious, my heart goes out to you because I'm the one doing the stuff. This isn't the worst work in the world or nothing like that. Again, I'm making this video to help emphasize the need to streamline this and make this all faster and easier, because I don't want to be doing this touchpad work. I've got hands, fingertips to protect. I've got carpal tunnel wrists to protect. All sorts of different things. I do not need this in my life, and especially when I'm paying for the service, I want this to get better and faster, better and easier, not just for me, but for my clients. Or if I'm doing this kind of work for my clients, I definitely don't want to be charging them to come in here and do all this copy-paste work. That doesn't feel like the best use of my time either. Let's see, I think we're going to 245 this time. And I'm going to mix it up and get away from the formula just a little bit. 246. Waiting for the animation. Thank you, animation. And by the way, I haven't saved any of my work yet, so God forbid my browser crash or something like this at this point. All this stuff would be lost. One of the other perils of something that goes slowly. 276. Got a few more to go, including my custom ones. And I'm going to add in a LinkedIn item here. It's been a while, so I'm going to hit that. 6. Add message. Come on, animation. There we go. A couple more. That one had gone to my personal LinkedIn. We'll send the next one to my business LinkedIn, my business page on LinkedIn. Six. Best time. Animation's just catching up with me after I flip back. I'm a human. Good rule of thumb, I think, is that my computer should be faster than me, the human. And so anytime my computer is not faster than me, I feel like I've been gypped just a little bit. It's just a feeling, and I'm sharing the feelings here too, not to criticize CoSchedule or this system. I'm doing that to help people get into the folks of working at CoSchedule, hopefully to get into my head and other users' heads and understand the emotions that are going through our brains as we're using your tool, because CoSchedule is reinforcing opinions that we already have or don't have. And these are the types of things that will determine if we stick it out with CoSchedule, if we continue to be a customer, if we switch somewhere else. In some cases, if we're showing it off to somebody or what have you, and they see the areas where we get frustrated or confused or any of those things, then that's also part of the first impression that other people are going to get here too. So then I've got a few others that I'm just going to randomly put in with a couple other numbers, just somewhere with my custom titles. I've just got 4 of these. And we're almost done. Image. And I'll be honest, I'm a little burnt on this at this point. That's part of the reason why I'm making this video, because there's just a lot of copying and pasting here with this system at this point to create this setup. Now, the good news is, after I make this, I can save this as a template and I can reuse it. I have, there's some good and bad in that being able to reuse it, and I'll get to that in a second. But this is something that will save me time if I reuse this template on other blog articles in the future. And to do that, I need to write titles that are somewhat similar to this title, that will fit with all those prefix and suffix beginnings and endings that I put manually into these items. So here we go, and I'm totally losing track at this point in time. We'll go with 280. Add the message. Okay, so at this point, I've got all of these items, and I want to point out some flaws in my campaign here. You may have seen it along the way. This is long, so I've got some flaws in here, though. I went with these themes where I started prefixes, and I started this with anyone can, setting up the title, and then ending with questions. Then I used anyone can again, and then ideas. So the thing is, each time these get shared in a batch, if someone happened to see it before, they're going to see the anyone can 3 shares in a row. And you saw I spread it out over a month's period most of the time, but for 3 months they're going to see the same things. And I might not realize that until I've made all of these. But on here, I can't go back and easily rework these, drag and drop these into a different shape or anything like that. They're not grouped off. I can't move them around. They're here. Now I can edit each one of these individually, and at this point I can't edit them by the day. I have to edit them by the individual item going to an individual account, which is another challenge. But I have it, and I'm going to save my draft. I'm going to save my work so I don't lose any of this, God forbid. Wait for WordPress to catch up with me. And I'm recording video, so my computer fan is starting to get just a wee bit loud. Apologize if that's coming through on the microphone. So that's all loaded in there, and now I have this thing, and if I can remember how to do it, it's been a while, I'd like to save this whole big example that I've created as a new template that I'll be able to use in other blog articles. That was kind of my whole entire goal of doing this thing, was to create this new template better than the last one that I'd had. And I wanted a year's worth of stuff. So at this point, I need to remember where to go to save this template. And I think it's back here to templates. And I want to, there's nothing that says new template. Well, I guess it does say new template, but I want to, it doesn't say how to create new template. There's something about this that doesn't quite register with me until I click it, so I'm never totally sure. But I want to save it from my existing thing. I don't want to create a brand new one. I think I want to save the queue. They call this stuff a queue. I don't know what in the world a queue is. I guess it's a collection of all these social shares or something. But there's nothing over here that says everything below here is the queue. You know, there's no header or something that tells me that's that. And I believe from experience in the past, and I don't want to test it, I believe hitting create new would wipe everything out or something. So I'm going to save the queue. And it initially comes up with the title from my blog article. That's not what I want the social template to be called. I want to call this something like 1 year blog shares custom prefix suffix or something like that. And at this point it shows all of those individual items all spread out. They're not grouped, they're not nothing, so I have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and close. So there's a big question. Am I really saving? I'm actually going to hit the command control minus option just to make sure there's not a save button hidden in there. Okay, so I'm gambling that hitting close is actually saving the thing. And since this is a system that runs in CoSchedule's server and not my own, it will save. I don't have to update my post. And here I can see it, the 1 year blog shares custom prefix suffix. So the next time, I'm going to save my work one more time. The next time I come through here to create a blog article, I can use that great big long template that I just made without having to do all that work, which is awesome. But when I do that, I have to change any of those dates that I'm sharing something on. Each one of those months, I have to edit every single individual share manually. There's no way to do any bulk stuff, any group stuff, and I can't augment that or add on to that easily from a spreadsheet where maybe I've got some extra things that I want to get in there, maybe for a specific date on a campaign or an event or something like that. So at this point, I'm not sure if I can see how long I've been recording here, but it feels like it's been going quite a ways. You can see it in the video timer and see how long that actually took and get a sense of why the workflow is so long. That was a lot of clicking. That was a lot of popping things up, a lot of waiting for animations. There was a lot of back and forth, copying and pasting from spreadsheets into the system. And I'd love to see a better way to import that in to connect Google Sheets or any spreadsheet or CSV file into this CoSchedule system and make my life easier, faster, and save my hands.